talk about a team that is undoubtedly good. That is the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs were 6-0. We just talked about on Monday their weaknesses and how, Pat hasn't been playing great. Offense has been playing great, but they're still undefeated. They bolstered their team this week, trading for DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best wide receivers in football. Yes, he is a little older now, but I still think he's a very good wide receiver. He's been playing with some bum-ass quarterbacks these last couple years. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I feel like with Patrick Mahomes, he can really go out there and do some things. You don't need him to be the nuke of 2017 or things like that. I think if he's just decent enough, this can help tremendously. And if you're the Chiefs, I mean, look, 5th rounder, that's all you gave up. Or it can become a 4th rounder. Of certain things I met, I think this is a good trade for the Chiefs and somebody that I know Pat is going to go to. And if you're DeAndre Hopkins, I know you got to be happy to just be playing meaningful football again. You know what I'm saying? I think that's something that he's going to be very, very excited about. And, I think this is something that can help them going forward, man. Dante, what you think about this trade? You think that this helps the Chiefs, or is DHop a little bit too past his prime for it to matter too much?
I think it definitely helps. I think it's a situation where you have a guy who may not be, the superstar he once was, but he's still good enough to affect that offense, especially with the injuries that they've had. As long as I think with Pat right now, what we're seeing is just a lot of times we put the cart before the horse, and we'll sit here and this is why I always have an issue with calling somebody the greatest of all time. Even if they're on that track, you can't call somebody the greatest in year 6. It's just there's too much of the story that still has to be written.
You still from Bang playbook from Monday.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fact, G. It's just too much of the story that hasn't been written yet for me to sit here and just write it off as he's always going to do good. This is a part of it. And so we're going to see how he, battles through this. And his offense hasn't been what it once was. Travis Kelce, like we say, he running in quicksand. So it's the thing where now we've added another weapon. How do you respond? And so I think this is definitely going to help Pat. I don't think he's going – obviously, DeAndre has to learn the offense, but with receivers it's easier because, the route tree is the route tree. So you just know it's mainly about positioning and the cadence and things like that. So I think as he gets comfortable in Kansas City, Andy Reid, is one of the greatest offensive minds we've ever seen. So he'll find a way to incorporate DeAndre, and I think it'll help. But, I think it's going to take more than DeAndre in order for them to three-peat. It's good, but it ain't – I don't think it's enough to just say, all right, they back as the favorites.
Bang stepped out for a minute. He'll be back in a minute. But Mikey, what you think about this trade, man? You want to send it to the chat when it first happened. You think can this help, or do you think that DHop just ain't what he used to be and it's not gonna matter that much?
No, I think this will help. I think a fresh scenery for him. Obviously he had terrible quarterbacks thrown to him, during his duration there in Tennessee, and now being with Pat, that's certainly going to revitalize him. It's going to revitalize Pat too. Pat has been, let's call it what it is. Pat has been throwing the no-name wide receivers too this year. Rashee Rice being out, Sky Moore being out, Juju Smith-Schuster being out. He's really relied on, on the Noah Grays and, trying to, incorporate Kelce where he can. So, getting somebody like DeAndre Hopkins, I have the utmost confidence that Andy Reid is going to go ahead and, get him up to date on the playbook. And give them a nice set of amount of plays, to be able to go in and feel comfortable playing this week. Fortunately for them, it is a division game, but they'll be going up against, the Raiders, which, it shouldn't cause much of a test at all for them. So it's a good get right spot for him. And I think it's going to be somewhat of a safety blanket for Pat Mahomes, as we see in Chicago, with Caleb and Keenan Allen. Possession receiver, somebody that can move the chains when he needs to, somebody that still can still run routes, can still get open, still has very strong hands for a wide receiver. I think he's going to be perfect for for that room. I also think that, like Dante said, it's not enough. I do think that they should go and try to add, one more person. That way, when you can get Juju back, you can, kind of reincorporate all of, those guys back in. But it's a nice start. You gave up, a conditional 5th round pick for him. It doesn't hurt. You're 6-0. So just adding a talent like that to the wide receiver room is going to make them better down the road.
Definitely, and I also think too, man, that I think Pat just needs any lifeline right now, and I think that somebody who, as a vet as he is, he's definitely not the wide receiver that he used to be. I think that's evident, but he's not gonna be a Tom Brady, Randy Moss situation, or nothing like that. But he's gonna make some plays that's gonna make you think, oh shit, like he still got a little bit left in him, and I think he's gonna help because this offense, it looked flat this time last year. But it looks way worse than it did last year. And I think it'll help with the timing as well. I always said that I feel all interceptions not created equal. I feel like we start treating interceptions the way we treat earned and unearned runs in baseball. I think both picks that Pat threw last week weren't his fault. I think if you got a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, that's going to even help with certain route running and things like that. A younger wide receiver who's not used to being in that position doesn't really know how to, adapt to, adjust to. So I think that just helped off the strength of that.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line.